Hey guys, it's Brian with Retired at 40, and we have freeze dried so many things on this channel. We've freeze dried meat, we've freeze dried vegetables, pizza dough and bread dough. So there's our finished product. We've freeze dried ice cream, and we've also freeze dried milk. We're talking about cow milk. We've never freeze dried any other kinds of milk. So if you're lactose intolerant or you just don't drink milk for some reason, today we're going to do cashew milk and almond milk. And in true Retired at 40 Live Life Simple style, we're going to show you how to make it first. Alright, so getting right back to it, making cashew milk and almond milk is really easy. You basically just need 2 cups of whatever you're going to use. So if you're using cashews, 2 cups of cashews, and then you're going to do 2 cups of almonds if you're doing almonds. And you just need to soak these overnight, and that just kind of makes them so they're easier to blend up. So just like that, you just put the water about an inch over the top of the almonds or the cashews, and that's because they do expand a little bit. And we're going to let these soak overnight. If you're in a hurry or you don't want to let them soak overnight, you can actually boil them for about an hour or 2 and you'll get the same effect. Okay, so it's the next day now, and these are ready to be rinsed off, and I just put them in a colander, just rinse them off with water. And these have all been strained, they're clean, and I like the cashews. They make a better milk, I think. The almond milk seems like it has a little bit more flavor when it's just plain, but cashews make just a better consistency, I think. So that's my preference. 4 cups of water, you're gonna add your 2 cups of soaked cashews or almonds or whatever you're using into that water. I go into a Vitamix because the Vitamix will just completely pulverize everything, especially the cashews because they're a little bit softer. So I'm going to mix those up. So the cashews get nice and smooth, especially in a Vitamix. I'm pretty sure you can do this in a regular type blender too. I've got a scale set up with a tray on it. It's zeroed out already. So it looks like this is 22 ounces, around 22 ounces. So we'll weigh it after it's done and then we'll know how much to put back in. And then if there's enough, I think I'm just going to do this second tray with 22 ounces as well, just to kind of keep it consistent. Wow, that's almost perfect. So the second verse is the same as the first, other than one thing. You're gonna need, so our 4 cups of water, 2 cups of soaked almonds, and the reason we're gonna need this straining bag, this is just a regular old straining bag that you'd use for all kinds of different stuff in cooking, but the almonds do not chop up as fine as the cashews do. So you actually need to strain them at the end or you'll have almost like it's almost like a pulp. So at this point you can add some extra flavoring. You can add some vanilla, you can add some coconut, you could do just any kind of flavor just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. What I like about making this homemade is there's no BS in it. Okay, so here is the difference between the cashews and the almonds. The almond is a lot thicker and you can see the pulp kind of sticking to the side there. So what we need to do, you take your straining bag thing and then fit it over a bowl, and then you just pour your almond milk mixture right through that straining bag, and it's going to catch all the thick stuff and let all the liquid go through. So there you can see it's just a little bit clumpier than the cashew is. You can see the pulp of the shell of the almond in there, but let's let this drain for a little bit and then we'll give it a good squeeze. All right, so after this is sat for a bit, you can milk the almond cow and you just kind of force all that liquid out of there. And then this is another thing that I don't like as much about the almond milk is it seems like there's just a little bit more waste. You definitely don't get as much liquid. So at the end of this you're left with your almond milk that's filtered, and then you've got all this almond pulp. So you can definitely see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of leftover. If you throw it away, it's waste, obviously, but if you reuse it, you're not wasting anything, but just seems like a lot of leftover. So if you have any ideas on what you could do with this leftover pulp, I'm listening, or better yet, post it on the Facebook group so everyone can see it. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing with the almond milk. I'm gonna try not to make a mess, but it's just really inevitable for me. I'm really good at making messes. It looks like I'm going to have an extra tray, so I'm going to have to find something to fill that up with. So 28 0.7 ounces is what I'm gonna call it. The easiest way to do this is fill up your trays right into the freeze dryer, no spillage. I also labeled my trays so I can remember which one's which after I'm done. All right, here's our cashew milk. And you can see it's a lot thicker than the almond milk is after it's been filtered, which is one of the reasons I like the cashew better. It just seems like you get a little bit more mileage out of it. All right, here's cashew 2. Now for this last tray, I think I'm just gonna do some regular old cow's milk. And I think this is 2%, which probably has a little bit higher water content. It might throw off my cycle just a little bit. I'm guessing it will add some time as opposed to the nut milk, but we will see. You also might notice that I finally got an oilless pump, and that's what's behind the mystery box here. But I can't exactly show you what it is yet. Listen how quiet it is. I can actually talk. So this says it's done in 4 seconds. The time on here is 25 hours and 28 minutes. And I looked back at my last milk video and it said it was 40 hours till it was done. So I have my doubts that this is done, but we're gonna see. So here's our almond milk. It really seems like it's done. This is the regular milk, and it seems like it's done too. It's really strange. I'm not sure why it took so little time. I don't know if it's a combination of the pump that I'm using. I don't know if just maybe just almond and cashew milk has less moisture than cow's milk does. I think just to make sure that it's 100% dry, I think I'm gonna stick it in for a little bit longer. To me, it just seems like it's way too fast. So I'm gonna stick it in for 4 more hours and I'll check on it and I'll see if there's any change. Okay, so we've been in for about 29 hours now. I added a couple hours and then the pump has to rest for about an hour. So it's about 10 o'clock at night, so I'm gonna throw these in some ball jars and then I'm gonna seal them and then I'll catch you back in the morning. Alright, so it's the next morning now, and I have my concerns about a couple things with the cashew and the almond milk. But I'm going to try and make a smoothie first. Well, it tastes just the way it should in a smoothie. So I said I had a couple of concerns, mainly with the cashew milk. And the consistency is nice. It got really nice and dry. The thing I'm a little bit worried about is just like any kind of nut, a peanut or an almond or a cashew, they're a little bit greasy and you can feel it in the dried milk. So my concern is that I don't know how long this will last in storage. So I think what I'm going to do, because there's no way to know until it's actually been stored for a while, is I'm going to keep my other cashew one out and I'll just have to give it a try. I'll wait a year or something and I'll do an update video on it. I think relatively short term, like less than a year, I think that it would probably be fine. I don't see any reason why oil would, as long as there's no water in there, I don't see why oil wouldn't be fine. You know, things that have oil typically last a long time. If they're canned. So the almond is not quite as bad. I think the almond is probably fine, but it does still have a little bit of the oily texture to it. It's about a third as oily as the cashew would be. So let's rehydrate this and see how it does. So let's do the almond milk first. See how much this whole thing weighs, and I'm not going to reconstitute the whole thing. I think I'm just going to divide it into 3. So that whole thing weighs about 5 ounces, it looks like. And the cashew milk, looks like it weighs about 4 ounces. Also, another interesting thing is that the volume of the almond milk was quite a bit more than the cashew milk. So the cashew milk, I think I'm just gonna, since it's 4 ounces, I'm gonna divide it into 4. So I'm gonna do 1 ounce of this, and then I'll divide our before weight. I'll divide that by 4 so we'll know how much water that we need to put in. So then I think I'll do the almond milk. I'll divide it into fifths and I'll do 1 ounce of this also. There's our 1 ounce of powdered almond milk, which means if we're gonna divide it by 5, we're gonna need about 6 ounces of water for the almond milk and about 5.5 ounces for the cashew milk. So 6 ounces of water is just under a cup, it looks like. And I'm gonna go ahead and add this to a ball jar with my almond milk in it. And there's our 5.5 ounces for the cashew. I'm gonna put a cap on them and I'm gonna shake them up and we're gonna take a taste test. So here's our cashew. And our almond. It's perfect. I gotta say, I've never tasted these two side by side like this. And we usually do the cashew milk, but actually now tasting them side by side, the almond milk actually tastes quite a bit better. And if you're gonna use it for something like cereal or something like that, I would definitely go with an almond milk. It is a little bit more work to make it, but it definitely tastes better. As far as the rehydration, both of them work perfect. The only doubt in my mind is just the storage, and we'll find that out sometime in the future. If you've tried almond or cashews or some other kind of nut milks and you've had success with them and with the storage, definitely let us know. Shoot me a comment on the video, or better yet, get on the Facebook group and drop us a line. In the meantime, this is Retired at 40. Remember to live life simple, and we'll catch you next week.